evening, folks. This is Devin Dave, and this is the Factivist Report for Sunday, the 25th of June. You know, remember the old saying, actions speak louder than words? Well, that's not the way it works with the Republican Party, because they don't really do a whole hell of a lot. They just can't shut the fuck up. So,
Oh, Deb, screen sharing.
Oh, yeah, I got it on, don't I?
Nope.
Oh, shit. There you go. On now. Speaking of actions. Anyway, here's Dave.
Oh, Lord. A little less action, a little more conversation. All right. So I'm just going to get right into it. Hold on one second. I was originally going to just talk about some of the House races and some of the strategy of the Democrat and the Republican Party. And then the John Durham report came out. And then the Adam Schiff censure came out. And then all this other stuff came out. So we're going to talk about some of that rambling on that the Republicans are doing. Let's see here. So back in September of 2022, Kevin McCarthy and the House, you got to give it to them. They at least laid out what they were going to do, and they pretty much done what they said they were going to do. You got to give them that one thing. They didn't do much, but they said they weren't going to do much. They were going to attack ideology, in terms of transgenders in sports and all that stuff. They were going to flood the House with investigations, and they've done that. And they were going to block social programs, which they've done that. So let's talk about some of the investigations they've been doing, and this is.
Oh, by the way, we forgot one. They were going to give more tax cuts to millionaires and
billionaires. Yep,
and they've done that too. They've got that written too. Yep.
Yep, they've done the tax cut stuff, but let's just get in. Jesus Christ, let's just get into some of this. So back in the day when I started listening to this guy, I didn't really know who he was. Joe Scarborough. He has a show on MSNBC. But he was a House rep in the Florida 1st District back in the mid and late 90s. Now, he's pro-life, and he's pretty much a 90s Republican. He voted to impeach Bill Clinton. He voted along Republican lines, but now, pretty much on a daily basis, he skewers the Trump Republican Party for being stupid. One of the things that just came out this week, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Elise Stefanik voting to expunge the Trump impeachments, voting to unimpeach Donald Trump. And another one is the John Durham hearing. Okay. And the sheriffs and the Schiff censure, they keep making fools of themselves. All right. So hold on. Let's see here. Here we go. Okay. And he's talking about the Schiff censure, and now they're censuring him for looking into the Trump Russia stuff. I mean, you've got that.
They're censuring him for statements he made several years ago.
Right. In 2020, by the way.
Right. 2020. This is now 2023. And actually, the statements he made in 2020 were also part of his job as an investigator at that time.
And by the way, we'll get into it too, because I did a little bit with Schiff talking to Durham.
By the way, I just looked up Joe Scarborough. He's now officially an independent.
Yes, he was. I forgot to mention that he was a Republican until 2017, and then after 2017, he did turn independent. Yes. So, and this is part of the reason you've got that. You've got Durham. You've got Biden, the Biden crime family nonsense, which we will get into, and now impeachment. Oh my God! Thank God we don't have a $31 trillion debt that Donald Trump basically gave us, and that these same Republicans gave us. Thank God we don't have any concerns with China. Thank God we don't have any concerns with the economy. Thank God we don't have any concerns about skyrocketing college costs. Thank God. It's far more important for Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert to fight each other on the floor and call each other bitches because they're having a race to impeach Joe Biden. Over what? Nothing. More gesturing. This is what we warned about if they put insurrectionists, weirdos, and freaks in charge of the people's house. This is a 90s Republican saying this, who went independent because of this.
Right.
He saw it happening. So, of course, now Democrats are decrying all this too. Okay.
This guy was brilliant, actually.
Yep.
And I'm proud to say he's from Massachusetts.
Let's see. Calling the Republican Party a joke and referring to its MAGA faction as wingnuts, and exasperated U.S. Rep. Jim McGovern took the floor of the House of Representatives Thursday night to accuse Speaker McCarthy of losing control over the chamber he oversees. In a 7-minute speech, McGovern vociferously criticized measures brought forth in recent days, calling for the censure of U.S. Rep. Adam Schiff, Democrat of California, and impeachment of President Joe Biden, accusing the Republican Party of hypocrisy regarding their attitudes towards former Donald Trump. And by the way, we'll get into this a little bit. The Republicans, we've talked about this. We've talked about the Christina Pushaw plan, the propaganda plan, which is basically whatever the Republicans do is good, whatever the Democrats do is crap. That's all they do. They never admit culpability. Almost never. So when I see Bill Barr actually say that Donald Trump is fried on an investigation, that's huge. When I see even a guy, who is no longer a Republican, but who has Republican ideals, let's just say, and Joe Scarborough trash them, it's huge.
How about the guy that's the former head of the GOP there? Michael, I forget his name.
Right.
He's another one.
Yeah. Or the Lincoln Project, or the Bulwark. Nothing about this is serious, McGovern said. Not the process, not the intentions of the resolution sponsor, not the impeachment case, not a single damn thing. And he's right.
Michael Steele.
Yep.
He's always on them, always.
Now, let's just talk about the John Durham investigation of the Trump-Russia collusion investigation. There were 3 people who were brought up on charges. One guy pled guilty to altering an intelligence email. That's what all of this is about. Okay. Now, there were mistakes made in that investigation. Basically, it was pretty much let go until the House brought it up again. So when the House brought it up again, they opened the door for the questions to be asked again.
Right.
John Durham did not refute. A lot of the times he said he didn't even know parts of the Mueller investigation. He didn't refute anything in the Mueller investigation, didn't refute any of the charges in the Mueller investigation. He didn't say, he said he was a good investigator, blah, blah, blah. And he was so not inflammatory of the Democrats. At the end of this hearing, Matt Gaetz basically accused him of interfering with an investigation when John Durham was their star witness.
Right. Amazing.
Yeah. And all of this, listen, all of the report's 300 pages. Okay. Here is and I understand this is MSNBC, Hayes Brown. This is what Durham said. Okay. John Durham found nothing to discredit special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. Okay.
And even more telling than that was he was asked by, I believe it was Eric Swalwell.
Yep.
If there was evidence of Russian collusion in the election. I believe his response was, I think there was substantial evidence of that.
One other thing, he was asked if anybody in any administration asked him not to investigate anything. And he said no. So any of this, the FBI is trying to hold back an investigation, which we'll get into with the whole Hunter Biden thing, is absolutely ludicrous. Now, anytime a person who is in charge of investigations comes up with something that the Republicans don't like, they call for an investigation of them. Whether it be Wray of the FBI, Merrick Garland, Jack Smith, whoever it may be.
Go ahead, investigate them. Knock yourselves out. Waste more taxpayer money. Because they sure as shit not governing.
So this is an LA Times. It is an opinion column by Mark Z. Barabak. For Adam Schiff, censure is a gift from House Republicans. Why? Because it gives him a chance to talk about it again. And it also makes him a hero to Democrats. Now, I don't like using that word, loosely, but it makes him a prominent figure. Let's put it that way. He's not a hero, but he was doing his job. And he was doing his job during the Durham hearings when he accused John Durham of violating DOJ policy by talking about an ongoing investigation. And John Durham said, I wasn't aware of the policy. What I'm saying is that the Republicans are opening up doors that they really don't want to open up.
Let's not
They
let them keep
They are
talking.
discrediting themselves.
Good. Let it keep going.
Yeah.
That's what they do almost better than anything.
Right. All right. Okay.
You know, people say to me, you're never gonna, change MAGA voters' minds. I said, I'm not the least bit interested in engaging with those people. As far as I'm concerned, they're lost.
Now we get into the whole Hunter Biden stuff. Okay. The latest desperate attempt to smear Joe Biden.
How low will
Okay.
Republicans go? How low can you set the bar? That's the question.
So we're talking about Luna in Florida. She is considered the George Santos of Florida.
And
Marjorie Taylor Greene. Here's the basic premise of this. Years ago, or I don't know when was that document or the evidence given to Grassley? Because to me, the
evidence?
Discovery, well, the alleged evidence. There was
a single sheet that was Rudy Giuliani.
When did he say that came out? And I'll get into that in a minute.
I don't remember.
But we just heard of that like last week. This crap has been going on for years now.
Right.
And now all of a sudden this is being presented. By the way, this is what, and Deb's right, this is what they're talking about. They're not talking about tapes. Okay. There are allegations of recordings.
Right.
Okay.
And now actually some Republicans themselves are saying they don't think they exist.
Right. This is what was presented. It's what's called an FD 1023. As many of you know, the FD 1023 is a form of our special agents the form our special agents use to record raw, unverified reporting from confidential human sources. FDH 1023s merely document that information. They do not reflect the conclusions of investigators based on a fuller context of understanding. So it's kind of like the VAERS system,
right,
of witness statements.
Exactly.
Hey, I think I saw Bigfoot. Okay, so the FBI writes down that I saw Bigfoot. Doesn't mean that I saw Bigfoot. Okay, and by the way, McCarthy is calling off impeachment hearings or saying that they should hold back until they have evidence, which means they don't have it.
Well, first of all, we need to understand what Joe Biden was being impeached for. Do you know what that was?
It was something to do with immigration, right?
His border policy.
That was yeah.
What? It has nothing to do with this.
Right.
Absolutely fucking nothing to do with this.
It was the immigration stuff.
Right. And the only reason that Mr. McCarthy put it off is because he's too chicken shit to control Marjorie Taylor Greene. Right. It's as simple as that. He should just tell Marjorie Taylor Greene to sit the fuck down and stop her nonsense. There is absolutely no basis for impeaching Joe Biden. They couldn't impeach Donald Trump. They got nothing on Joe Biden.
Now, the claim from that FD 1023 is that a witness somewhere, may be living, may not be, who knows.
Rudy Giuliani says he's dead. But then
he
again,
or she or whoever it is.
Why would we listen to Rudy Giuliani?
Right. He changes friggin' evidence like he changes his socks, his underwear. So the basic gist of that accusation is that Biden took a bribe, a $5 million bribe from a Russian official from the Burisma, company. There is no evidence of this, none.
Zero.
Okay, and from that article, it says, "Is it possible? Anything's possible." But this is what the Republicans do, and it kind of smacks of Russian disinformation operations, which is what the intelligence said about the whole Hunter Biden thing. And guess what? House Republicans are moving to strip security clearance from any official who said in 2020 that the release of Hunter Biden's emails had classic earmarks of Russian information operation. There is precedence of this. Donald Trump did it to John Brennan when he was president. Now, these intelligence officials did not say this is Russian disinformation. They didn't say that. They said it has, earmarks of it. It reminds them of it. It gives them red flags. That's what they said. And by the way, that speech should be protected by the First Amendment, right?
Oh, only if it's coming from a Republican.
Right.
They can make up shit.
This was
God.
Yeah, this was back when John Brennan was had his security clearance taken away. So now this just kind of encapsulates the whole thing. Snopes asks a question, they answer it. They don't have any evidence. In case you don't want to read the whole thing, but it's ludicrous. They have nothing. They're calling for the FBI to produce evidence that they don't have.
And by the way, the thing about evidence is that the MAGA Republicans, their followers, they don't need evidence. If Kevin McCarthy says it, if Marjorie Taylor Greene says it, if Lauren Boebert says it, if Chuck Grassley says it, and he's been the biggest mouth, one of the biggest mouths on this whole thing, that old fart, right, who, has turned into one of the biggest MAGA Republicans. If they say it, that's all those people need to do. They don't have to produce any evidence. That's the beauty of being MAGA House GOP people.
Well, my question goes back to the Adam Schiff comment on John Durham. They were investigating this whole thing, the whole Hunter Biden thing, because he has been charged.
All right, so let me
with
just
misdemeanors.
About that. All right.
Yep.
He has been charged for tax evasion.
For tax evasion.
And for 2 years, by the way.
Yep. Which he paid his taxes.
Tax evasion, like Donald Trump, who,
right.
Whatever. But 2 years of tax evasion, which, by the way, he paid 2 years ago.
Right.
So in all reality, I'm going to just say this. Someone who had to pay their back taxes, once those taxes have been paid, they're really charged. Okay?
Yeah.
Charged him to shut the fucking GOP up. That's what I think. In my opinion. This is my opinion piece now. All right? Most people don't get charged once they've paid the money. That's all they really care about is the money. Okay? And for a weapons charge, he's got
2 weeks, right?
Charge
he had it for 2 weeks.
Right. And he shouldn't have had it because he was an addict. Okay? But the fact of the matter is, when he got that license, he wasn't an addict. In reality, okay? That was before. So, okay, That's what he was charged with. He wasn't charged with fixing a bride for his father, using his father's name as an influence. That's all been investigated and has gone by the board. That's what the Republicans are pissed off at.
So the Republicans enduring fealty to Trump on display at conference after indictment. But what I want to say is that their enduring fealty to Trump is on display every day when they take a House vote.
It is. Whatever Donnie wants, they give him.
Yep, the shift censure was on party lines. They're calling for Biden's impeachment for whatever, for not tying his shoe or whatever. They were screaming about the Hunter Biden thing, and saying that it was unfair treatment, that he should have gotten the same treatment as Donald Trump, when they were in no way the same.
Not even close.
Not even close. Okay, over and over again, calling for the removal of security clearances.
What everything with the Republican Party is payback.
Right.
Retribution. Donald Trump himself said in a speech, "I am your retribution."
Right.
That's what he's all about. Whenever Donald Trump wants to get back at somebody, he uses the GOP House to do it, and they respond.
One thing that Joe Scarborough said in these pieces when he was criticizing the Republicans is that they are focused on the past. They are all focused on the past and what happened in the past, and not focused on the future and how to help people in the future. Now,
you're not interested in helping people.
My rebuttal to Joe Scarborough would be, prior to 2017, when he was a Republican, when did you guys ever help the American people? But, hey.
It is. When have they ever helped the American people?
Right. So, here we go. Even Lauren Boebert, she overstepped her bounds. McCarthy dismisses Boebert's premature Biden impeachment effort. And this is over, as Deb said, over
border policy.
The border policy.
And by the way, why are we impeaching Joe Biden? Because Donald Trump got impeached.
Yep.
This is no basis. There's absolutely nothing he's done as president of the United States that would warrant an impeachment. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Unlike Donald Trump, by the way.
And the John Durham hearing showed us one thing. Okay, the Democrats aren't perfect, but they do correct their mistakes, or try to correct their mistakes in public. The Republicans never do that. They're criticizing the Democrats for doing what they're doing on a much grander scale. They're presenting cases with absolutely no evidence. They're presenting quote unquote star witnesses without knowing what the star witnesses are going to say, and then accusing the star witnesses of obstructing justice, basically.
Let me just say this.
The
oversight committees on the Democratic side, when they have control, they're with the banking industry or some other non-governmental organization. They're not investigating people on the other side of the goddamn aisle every 5 minutes because they don't like what they said or don't like their policy or don't like what they did. That is a classic waste of time. The whole purpose in having an oversight committee is to come up with legislation to change what's wrong with what they do. And that's how we got the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, was after Elizabeth Warren's oversight committee. Okay? I mean, this is the whole purpose of an oversight committee.
And
Not what they're doing. They're, oh, you know, they didn't like the charges against Donald Trump in New York, so they had an oversight committee meeting on the prosecutor. We had Marjorie Taylor Greene was going to impeach one of the prosecutors in Washington, D.C. for pressing charges against the insurrectionists. I mean, give me a break, folks.
They want to impeach anybody who investigates anybody on the right. And by the way, I do want to mention this. No one likes to lose. No one liked it when Hillary Clinton lost, and no one liked it when she complained of Russian collusion. You know, the whole Russia thing. But she was right. She was right. And you know what? There were steps taken to try to alleviate some of it. At least people have to declare themselves as foreign agents. You know, like Russia Today or whatever.
Christina Pushaw.
Yeah. I mean, now we have a little bit of Monday knowledge. Okay. So
Green was recently on Russian state TV. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know, but
yeah.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. So now we're going to get into policy a little bit. Trump says a vital federal role remains for regulating abortion. Why? The government shouldn't have any business regulating what women do with their bodies. Why?
Because he was talking at the Faith and Freedom Coalition. That's why.
Right. Which got, I mean, it goes back to the first thing that I mentioned, the House policies. It's abortion, rights for transgenders to to gender affirming care, the right to change your documentation. Why is any of that anybody's business? It isn't. So all of this nonsense, all of this rambling by the Republican Party, along with their quote unquote policies, which do nothing for the American people. That's why we're trying to vote them out. I will probably do more on this next week, but the Republicans and the Democrats always release kind of a game plan and a list of candidates that they're targeting, at least early. So the Republicans released their top targets in 2024 recently. Well, this was in March, actually. And here's some of them. And it's not a surprise. Mary Peltola, Josh Harder, Katie Porter's seat, Mike Levin, Yadira Cavero, Jahana Hayes, Darren Soto, Eric Sorensen, Mike Ravan, Sharice Davids, Jared Golden, Hillary Schulten, Alyssa Slotkin is running for is it Feinstein's? No, not Feinstein. Whose seat is she running for?
Somebody who's retiring, I know that. Oh,
right.
Yeah. Debbie Stabenow.
Debbie Stabenow, thank you. Dan Kildee, Angie Craig, Don Davis, Willie Nickel, Jeff Jackson, Chris Pappas, Gabrielle Vasquez, Susie Lee, Stephen Horsford, Pat Ryan. Pat Ryan won a kind of a surprise there in New York. Greg Landsman, Marcy Kaptur, Amelia Sykes, Val Hoyle, Andrea Salinas, Susan Wild, Matt Cartwright, Krista Del Luzio, Seth Magaziner, Vincent Gonzalez, Abigail Spanberger. They always target her. Always. Marie Glass. Yeah.
Anybody who has watched the Republican House If anybody would allow these people to take any more seats after seeing everything they've seen since the midterms, there's something wrong with you, okay? If you're a Democrat and you haven't yet been moved to get your ass off the sofa and make sure they don't take more power than they have right now, if you are not committed to winning the House back, which we should never have lost with a 9-seat lead ever to begin with, then you have become used to being abused by the Republican Party. You think this is normal. You think the shit you see every day is just politics as usual, and you are so far off the mark that you need to get help, because this shit isn't normal. None of anything you're seeing right now in the Republican Party is normal. Okay? It's not.
And 2 seats in Washington, Marie Glausen-Camp-Perez and Kim Schreier. Now, here is the list of the Democratic Party, for incumbent Republicans. Go away, thing. Go away. Oh, Jesus Christ. There we go. Okay. David Schweikert. Now we have the California seats. David Valdano, Mike Garcia, Young Kim, Ken Calvert, and Michelle Steele of California. So the DNC in California, they've got their work cut out. Anna Paulina Luna, who is a nut job and who is part of a lot of this messaging, by the way. And Maria Elvira Salazar of Florida. And those are important seats because you want to weaken the stranglehold that DeSantis has on Florida. And I understand these are House seats, but every Republican seat in there, whether it be the state seats or the federal seats, it helps them.
Right.
Marionette Miller Meeks of Iowa, John James of Michigan, Ryan Zinke, Montana, Don Bacon, he's everywhere, like on Fox News all over the place. And then we have a bunch of New York seats. New York, get these seats back. Okay, Nick LaLota, Santos, of course, Anthony Desposito, Mark Molinaro, and Brandon Williams of New York. Lori Chavez DeReamer, we've talked about her before. Oregon, Brian Fitzpatrick and Scott Perry of Pennsylvania. Monica De La Cruz, Brian Stile, and Derek Van Orden. And yes, Lauren Boebert is another one. She is so assumed at this point they don't even put her on the list.
Right.
But
she lost. What's his name? Who's the guy that opposed her again?
The name is escaping me right this second. What's his name?
Just give me a minute. They should be emblazoned on my brain by now, but
yeah.
She only won by 540 votes.
500 votes.
Okay. You know what? You need to make her go away. Really. I mean, she is the biggest waste of space. Adam Frisch. Make Adam Frisch a winner, okay?
Now, here's something I want to talk about a little bit. Okay. They're talking about Nancy Mace as a possible VP candidate for Donald Trump.
Oh, you God.
Now, she didn't always support Donald Trump. She was critical of him after the insurrection, blah, blah, blah. Stop. She's voting in lockstep, by the way. So she is becoming another quote unquote upcoming star. We need to stop this. There are redistricting fights that are going to happen. South Carolina is part of a redistricting fight, and South Carolina District 1 is part of that. And Nancy Mace is part of that district, is in that district rather. So here's something from February of this year. And let's see here. Here we go. We have to be loud about this and make sure that these districts are fairly represented. If you're in a South Carolina district, you need to beat the drum loudly on this, just like in any other district that's being unfairly, gerrymandered. In South Carolina, a federal trial court ruled in January that the state's first congressional district, currently represented by Republican Nancy Mace, was an unconstitutional racial gerrymander and must be redrawn before 2024. However, South Carolina's appeal of that decision to the Supreme Court could delay the redrawing of the map. This kind of stuff needs to stop.
It does.
Okay, it's the same thing that happened in Florida. So if you're in South Carolina, you need to fight against us. And we
Unless
also,
you're a Republican, of course, and we don't expect you to do that.
Right. And we will continue to look at this and bring it up and, update you on any public action that may be taken on this kind of thing. So there are going to be redistricting fights. Now, whether or not we win or lose those fights, what do we need to do, boys and girls?
It's called vote.
70% is what we're looking
for. Do not listen. I'm going to say this again. The conservatives have never been in the majority in this country. Vote, whether we are gerrymandered or whether we aren't. Sitting at home doesn't help. Okay.
Finally, this is our Facebook group. Mentioned it last week too. The big blue tsunami must happen in 2024. This is a group in which we just post who is running in different districts. And no posts are allowed now. You can respond underneath a picture if there is an event for a candidate or whatever. But this is pretty much just to share advertising and to share stuff on social media. This is basically the purpose of it. We have about a year and a half, year and 5 months.
About that.
It goes quick. I remember when we were talking about 2022, it goes quick.
Can you scroll down and show some of these things?
Yeah.
See these things here? When you see those, you know what your job is to do? It's to share them. Okay? That's what we want. We want you to join the group. 61 members. Come on, people. Sarah spends all of her time putting these together. Come into
There's Adam Frisch.
Just share them. Share them wherever you want. Download them. Put them on other social media sites. That's what I do. We need to do this, folks, okay? This is the bare minimum.
I mean, Colin Allred, Sherrod Brown needs to stay in.
Absolutely.
And Colin Allred, we have a shot to get rid of Ted Cruz. How many people on social media on a daily basis bitch and moan about Ted Cruz or Rand Paul or whoever? You have a chance to get rid of Ted Cruz in the
I'm about to load in a bunch of new ones tonight. So
yeah. Lauren Underwood running for Illinois House District 14. This is Abigail Spanberger, Bernie. And yes, we're supporting Bernie. And no, we're off the whole sheepdog train. Ruben Gallego, Arizona District 3. Now I know a lot of these are Senate seats, and we were talking about the House,
That's okay.
but
They're all part of the victory. We need to win
yep,
both. We need to expand the Senate and win the House back.
we have a solid chance. They took out all the stops, and they have a four person lead, and I think it's for all intents and purposes 3-person lead because one of the guys is leaving.
And by the
So
way, when Obama was elected in 2008, that was 65% of registered Democrats. We need 70%. 70% puts the GOP out of business.
California House.
He is running for Adam Schiff's House seat. Adam Schiff is running for
No,
Dianne
no,
Feinstein's Senate
no,
seat.
no, not oh, is it Schiff or Porter?
No.
It's Schiff's seat.
Katie Porter's running. No, there's a girl. We haven't done her artwork yet. There's a
Okay.
woman running. He's running for Schiff's seat. California District 30 is Schiff.
Is Schiff? Okay. See, even I get confused. There are a ton
California is
of
a big
House,
state,
and California's a huge state, so it's all over the place. But and I've seen, I see you, I hear you, I hear all the people on Twitter, Facebook, and everything else bitching about the Supreme Court and how corrupt the Supreme Court is, and Amy Coney Barrett taking money, and Alito taking money, and all these guys. Well, guess what we need? We need a 60-person, House majority, or I'm sorry, Senate majority. That's what we need, at minimum. Okay, it's going to take a lot. Now that's a lot to ask for in this election. How many do we have? I know we have 13 governors, senators. I can't remember how many Senate seats are
I
up.
think there's 40.
Okay.
It's not.
No. That sounds like a lot because there are 50 Senate seats.
I don't remember.
Yeah. I think it's like 23. Yeah, look it up.
But all the houses up.
All the houses
all
up.
over again.
Right. But to get like 60, that's honestly pie in the sky, but you go for as much as you can, especially given the fact that Joe Manchin is,
33.
So, wow. Okay. So it's 33. But we have to keep ours and
expand it.
We're not going to expand it to 60. That's a little, I mean, we'll try to win every single one, but
or I'll still use the filibuster.
Right.
We need enough people to get rid of the filibuster is what we really need.
Or we need Democrats who will get sick and tired and just override the filibuster.
Right.
At some point we need enough Democrats to do that, and we don't have maybe, just maybe, if we get rid of one way or another, get rid of Manchin and we get rid of Sinema, maybe we'll have enough to actually think about it, at least with important votes. I mean, that's how we partially got in the Supreme Court mess in the first place.
Right.
By the way, just so you know, while Trump was talking about abortion needing to be regulated, Biden put in his own action Deb, you want to talk about it for a second?
He expanded, put in an executive order to expand the availability of contraceptives. I mean, he's doing everything he can as president. Without a majority, he can't do what he wants to do. All right.
Right.
He told you that during the midterms. And again, we failed to act. But let me just say this to all the women out there. You need to understand this. Do not think you're in a safe state, because if the GOP is elected into power and they pass a national abortion ban, it doesn't matter what state you're in. You got that? Understand that. Okay? This can't happen, folks. If you're out there and you're a woman voter, and honestly, if you're a Republican woman, you need to really think about not putting an R next to your name for one election cycle. You really need to think of what's good for the people and what's good for the country at this point. If you're an old school Republican, I don't understand how you can possibly be voting for this horrendous, horrible group of people that is now sitting in the halls of Congress. People who would overthrow the government to reinstall the orange jackaloon. And who now continually just do nothing but do his bidding. That's not what government is all about.
And not for nothing, install a dominionist fascist society where, again, you're a Republican. Where are states' rights? They're trying to codify nationally and a national abortion ban.
And don't kid yourself. They'll do the same thing with gay rights and with transgender rights as well.
Right.
If they get one done, they'll go for all of them. And let me just say this to you. You may not like abortion. You may not think transgender is okay. You may not think being gay is okay. But guess what I'm going to tell you next? That's none of your goddamn business. You live your life and let everyone have the right to live their life. Okay? That's the way we should work here.
How far are they going to go? How many of us have had sex outside of marriage? Just saying. How many of you have had relations with someone outside of your race, outside of your gender? It's nobody's business. But this is where this government is going, or the GOP is going.
It's not the role of government to police people's lives. It's the role of government to legislate on behalf of all of the people. Okay? What we really need in the United States is a new Bill of Rights that guarantees none of this shit can be changed by legislation or any other means. That's really what we need here.
And, provide certain services, transportation, infrastructure, roads, bridges, tunnels, sewage, garbage disposal, pickup, all that stuff that nobody wants to talk about. Safety, certain environmental protections against fraud. Landlord
politics.
Yep, landlord abuse, that kind of stuff. By the way, workplace abuse. All of that stuff. Nobody wants to talk about that stuff.
Affordable housing, all of that shit. All of that shit benefits the American people. It may not benefit the billionaires, but you know what? This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the majority rules. The billionaires aren't in the majority. Okay? They're not.
Healthcare, which, by the way, gender affirming care and vaccines and abortion, that's part of healthcare. Okay? It's not the business of it's not the business of the American or of the United States government to tell a woman with an ectopic pregnancy or with a baby who has already passed away that she has to give birth to that child. I mean,
that's cruelty is what that is. And that needs to stop. It really does. And by the way, there is no place for religion in government. None. No. Okay, you want to go to church? Go to church. You want your children to have a religious education? Do what my mother did. She took me out of public school and put me in Catholic school. But don't try to force the public school system to pray before school starts, because not everybody in this country is Christian, and not everyone has to be.
And don't tell school librarians what books they can put in their library and what. I'm not talking about Hustler magazine, and you know it. Everybody knows it. You know, the history of Rosa Parks, or the biography of Rosa Parks, the biography of Martin Luther King. You know, The Color Purple, Beloved.
The story of Roberto Clemente, The Diary of Anne Frank. Banning books is right out of 1930s Germany fascist playbook, as is many things that the GOP is doing. Targeting groups of people. That's how this all started. And it didn't end well, did it? No, it didn't.
Before we go, I'm going to tell you guys a little more about what we're going to be talking about. We are going to be talking a little bit more about that house. I'm going to do a little bit more on, see if anything has progressed in terms of the redistricting. But also, we as streamers, we have been on this kick about third parties and the fallacy of them being a spoiler. It's worse. It's worse. Third parties are emboldening the right wing at this point. Okay. We cannot support third parties at this point. I'm sorry. In my humble opinion.
Nope.
So we'll talk a little bit about that. Deb also mentioned kind of people in the background. Casey DeSantis, who is styling herself as the Jackie Kennedy of the nutbag GOP. She is kind of the wife in the House of Cards kind of thing. So I might do something on her at some point, and kind of like some of the people in the background.
She dresses like Jackie Kennedy when she takes a picture, but she's not like Jackie Kennedy, because when you see her in Iowa at a biker event,
right,
that was, a biker
with that alligator.
That was set up by Joni Ernst, another crackhead, and you see her with a leather jacket on with the state of Florida, carved into the back of it saying "Where woke goes to die." That's not anything Jackie Kennedy would ever do. All right.
And by the way, when Joni Ernst is considered a middle of the road Republican, you've lost your mind.
She's a Tea Partier. Okay.
She's a Tea Partier.
But again, as I said to you in another video I did earlier this week, the Tea Party morphed into MAGA. This has all been going on since the 70s, even. All of this to where we are now is the whole boiling frogs thing. Okay. This is what it has been, a slow progression. Don't ignore it, people. It's happening in real time. Okay.
Now, our prediction of where MAGA will go, MAGA is morphing into Groyper. Okay. Nick Fuentes and the other jackass. Who's the other guy? Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk.
Okay.
Fascism.
Right. Those people who are calling Marjorie Taylor Greene fakers. This is
she's not extreme enough for these guys.
Right. He is a voluntary, involuntary celibate, Nick Fuentes.
Yep.
He voluntarily, involuntarily made himself celibate. But he is at this point the edge of lunacy. But how much farther can you go beyond that? Who knows? What are we going to get into?
He's a white nationalist. He's an anti-Semite. He's a racist. I mean, he is everything he says he is. He admits it openly. He goes on his stream and talks trash all day and all night long.
What are we going to have? What are we going to have? The Flat Earth Party? it's going into idiocracy. I don't know if how many of you saw that movie, but that's where this is really headed. And that's where this is actually. A lot of it, when you see Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene calling each other bitches because one of them, you know, cut the other one off in terms of
No,
who
no.
is
What happened is
impeached.
Marjorie Taylor Greene accused Laurel Bear of stealing her
Yeah,
impeachment. Yeah.
cutting her off in the impeachment thing. Yeah, but it's like, are you kidding me?
I mean,
I
how
mean,
proud do we have to get here? Do we have to get, and then Marjorie Taylor Greene calls for decorum. What the fuck? I mean, how low do we have to get here? I mean, do you understand where we are when we have people like this behaving like this in office all day long?
oh,
They don't do any work. They spend most of their day tweeting.
right,
And I'm telling you, it's them doing the tweeting because they can't spell and they have no
right.
syntax knowledge and they have no punctuation ability.
Well, we're going to have mud wrestling next on the House floor. I'm serious. How low are we going to go? You may have your issues with the Democratic Party, but this Republican Party has to go. Okay, and then we can talk about reforming the party. Listen, whatever you get, Republicans, what do you find redeeming about the? Either you're a racist and a nationalist and just like a dominionist and you're a bigot, or you are stuck like you don't know where the hell you want to go. Well,
either this is or it's this. You either can't. You either are for democracy or you're for fascism.
right.
That's where we are right now. Okay, it's as simple as that. There is no in between here. We're in the in between right now. Okay.
But there are too many what I call Pontius Pilates that we don't condone the behavior of the far the far whatever of our party, the fringe of our party. You are the fringe. When you are part of it. When you condone it, you're part of it.
They're not the fringe anymore. They are the face of the GOP. And all of those GOP senators that watch the House and remain silent, they're no better. They're no better. All they care about are their positions. So they just don't say anything. They let it happen. Okay. Right. The Mitch McConnells, all of those guys. Lindsey Graham's a participant. Okay. They're no better. Every once in a while we have what's his name there from Utah? Mitt Romney. Every once in a while he criticizes George Santos. That's it. Watching it happen without participating in it is as bad as participating in it. You either care about democracy or fascism. You either understand that you're here to serve the people or you're here to serve yourself. And it's as simple as that.
And by the way,
don't complicate this shit. Okay.
And Joe Scarborough, I actually listened to him. As Deb said, he left the Republican Party. He's still a Republican, by the way, in ideology, but he couldn't take it anymore. What are you guys going to vote for these people?
For who? By the way, Chris Christie? Chris Christie, he said he will gut Social Security and he will support a national abortion ban. Yep. Asa Hutchinson, he will support a national abortion ban. There is no solution here. None. The alternatives are as bad as the actual jackaloon.
I very rarely do this, and Deb knows that I'm a sports follower and I watch. So Stephen A. Smith, I don't know if you know him, Deb. He is supporting Chris Christie for president of the United States. Boycott him. Don't watch him.
I'll watch
boycott him. I mean, I know Deb don't watch him anyway, but if anybody watches him that watches this show, I don't watch him anymore. Boycott him. He's actively stumping for Chris Christie. So There you go. You stepped out of the sports arena and onto the political stage.
By the way, Chris Christie, who may be dumping on Trump now, but was one of Trump's biggest enablers in 2016.
Right.
So I don't want to hear it. Okay.
Right. Oh, and yeah, he's like, well, he's the other one. You either support Trump to it's all political maneuvering for the Republicans. Do I support him, or do I bank that he is probably going to fall at some point? And because when he falls, watch the lemmings jump off the ship.
By the way, Adam Kinzinger said it best. He said all of these people coming out of the woodwork to run, Hutchinson, Chris Christie, all these Republicans, they're only helping Trump. They need to get over their vanity project. That's basically the way he put it. This has nothing to do with fighting Trump. Okay?
Right.
It really doesn't. They need to get over their vanity project. So.
Well, I mean, the Republicans are saying that it's either going to be DeSantis or Trump in 2024. I mean, guys, it's either freaking, the bubonic plague or gonorrhea. I don't know, or gonorrhea, whatever. I mean, cholera or malaria.
Right.
There you go.
All right, gang. We'll see you next week. Have a charming evening.
Bye.